Please direct your attention to the screen for remarks from Lee Method, performing the duties of Assistant Secretary of War for Sustainment.
Good morning, and thank you for joining MITRE's Beyond Barriers Summit today. Before we talk about strategy, let's consider a common story we hear from our warfighters. The story is about unit readiness, compromised not by an enemy, but by a single, back-ordered part. That's not a logistical inconvenience. That is a battle lost before it even begins. And that is why we are here to talk about acquisition on a war footing. It is the reality we face, and the battlefields we face have expanded in ways we must urgently address. As Honorable Duffy just noted, our acquisition system became a bunker built to keep innovation out. It was engineered to eliminate risk, not to embrace the risk and failure that are necessary for transformation. So too, we've treated logistics and sustainment as a support function, a critical but secondary element to the fight. That era must be over. Our adversaries are actively targeting the industrial base and supply chains that give our military its strength. Logistics is a warfighting function, and our supply chains provide the capability for the fight. Those that prioritize logistics are postured to win. And logistics is now contested across every domain: land, air, sea, space, and cyber, creating an environment where adversaries present multiple challenges and directly target our operations facilities and activities in the U.S., abroad, or in transit. Winning in these contested environments is not just a priority, it is a prerequisite for victory. Our strategic response to this challenge is the Department's Acquisition Transformation Strategy, which aligns to the 2025 National Security Strategy and 2026 National Defense Strategy. This includes supercharging our defense industrial base, reforming acquisitions, and rapidly fielding emerging technologies. While every part of this strategy is vital, I want to address the sustainment efforts that connect our industrial base and acquisition efforts to operational reality and our ability to overcome contested logistics. Pillar 5, improving effective life cycle risk management, is deliberately the final pillar. After we set market conditions, streamline acquisition and procurement, and empower our workforce in the first 4 pillars, it is sustainment that must carry this transformation forward through the entire life cycle. We call this logistics preparation of the battlefield, and its logic is undeniable. Supply chain risk is everywhere. However, 70% of a system's life cycle cost, and more importantly, 70% of its supply chain risk, occurs after the initial purchase. In a world of contested logistics, ignoring this long tail of sustainment is a critical vulnerability. These are not hypothetical threats. When a single Chinese alloy in a magnet halted F-35 production, the ripple effect was a direct attack on our readiness. For every pilot who lost training hours and every crew who had to ground an aircraft, our strategic vulnerability was exposed. When an explosion at a domestic facility wiped out 100% of our capacity for an essential munitions component, it highlighted a critical vulnerability. And when a ransomware attack on a U.S. ammunition manufacturer exposed sensitive supply chain data for our top defense contractors, it was a shot across the bow. In other words, our adversaries know how to attack this enterprise, and they have throughout history. The sustainment pillar of effort is about moving from a culture of risk avoidance to a culture of proactive, intelligent risk management. It's about working across the entire supply chain to address our vulnerabilities before the enemy or adversary does. To make this vision a reality, we are addressing 3 key areas. First, we are revitalizing our organic industrial base by embedding a design for maintenance approach. This ensures faster and easier system repairs, allowing us to quickly respond to mission requirements. Second, we are forging a resilient supply chain by establishing a supply chain risk management integration center. This will provide total visibility and help us all identify vulnerabilities before they become a crisis. Finally, we are modernizing lifecycle sustainment planning to empower our program and product support managers with the necessary tools and training to prioritize sustainment from day one. to determine if our sustainment plan delivers the persistent support our warfighters require. So what does victory look like? We recognize that the department cannot do this alone. We need your velocity and speed, innovation, and partnerships to build a logistics enterprise that is armed, ready, and dominant. Victory looks like this. A planner using an innovative supply chain dashboard gets an instant alert about a critical component that has a single source of supply in an unstable region. The team immediately acts to diversify production. That's velocity. They build partnerships with new suppliers while simultaneously updating the operational plan to protect critical infrastructure. That is a strategic advantage, won in minutes, not months and years. That is the future we are building, a future where sustainment is a strategic advantage. Together, we must go beyond the barriers we've built in the past and work together to develop solutions from the factory to the front line. This is not a fire and forget solution. Rather, it must be a persistent campaign. You are the frontline leaders in this new domain. As you participate in the workshops, I challenge you all to ask of every decision, does this enhance warfighter readiness? Is it designed for contingency in the field? Does it strengthen our supply chain from day one and position us to be the resilient partner we need to be? Your leadership is the critical component that transforms this strategy into a combat-ready reality. Readiness equals winning. And in this era of persistent competition, we must outsustain our adversary. Thank you.